how to be more dominant. And I wrote here, even if it doesn't come naturally, because every single fucking time I talk about dominance with people, mostly people are saying that, yeah, but I'm not that type of guy. I'm not very dominant. It's not who I am. Blah blah blah. So that used to be me too. I used to be a little pussy. We've all been there. It's totally okay. But let's talk about some dominance in this chat now. I turned down my left hand for you, Marcus. Thank you so much, Hill. I appreciate it. Peter's in the chat. Happy birthday for the other week. David, what's up, man? All right. So don't be a dickhead. Now, this is basically just to address that point around dominance, right? Is that a lot of people think dominance is around the idea of being a roided up douchebag in a club, right? It's not what dominance is. We're going to talk about being a real alpha, right? So my goal for essentially this talk is that no matter where you guys are at, I don't care if you are a complete sub, if you're just a bit of a nice guy, if you're assertive in the bedroom, if you're assertive but not really applying anything in the bedroom, or if you're at the level where you're tying girls up and they're begging for you and shit like that, there is going to be something in this chat that we go through today that you're going to learn. There's going to be something, tips, tricks, mindsets. I want everyone to leave this chat feeling that they can implement something in their lives that make them more dominant as a person, and also can convey that to women and feel more confident and dominant in the bedroom. That's my goal for everyone. So all you motherfuckers, strap in. It's happening. If you stay into the end, I feel like I just fucking bribe all you guys, right? If you stay into the end, we're doing a Q&A. So I'll probably, fuck it. It's a Saturday night. I'm lonely. I'm going to stay on until I answer all your questions, or at least something like that. And then I'm going to also give you the sexual fantasy routine. I'll give you the document of that. And also actually one of the other routines. I know you probably have no idea what the fucking sexual fantasy routine is. I don't know who came up with that name. It was probably me. But I'm going to explain it a little bit later. It helps girls open up. It helps them to express their submissive side, which gives you more confidence being dominant. And I'm going to give that to you guys at the end, if you stick around. A bunch of other guys are in here. Did I teach David Swift? No. If anything, David has taught me a lot. All right, cool. So David, I think, is probably asleep. I don't think it's good American time right now. Is this going to be recorded? Yes, it is going to be recorded. All right. So for the past 10 years, I essentially learned dominance the hard way. Right now, I used to be, as I mentioned, very submissive, very nice guy, very agreeable, very empathetic, which aren't the worst traits in the world, but they are when people take advantage of it. They are when girls don't respect you. And I quickly found that out through relationships, or through my interactions with women where, I was either just heavily friend zoned, they didn't enjoy the sex. I was, looking back, probably disrespected, but I didn't feel that at the time, right? I was just chasing. And so I begin to start my journey. The same time that I kind of started my game journey is, I just realized this is cutting it off. Let me fix up my little face here. Let's make this a bit smaller. There we go. Is that I started to realize that I wasn't very dominant at all. And I know some of you guys have heard this story before, but I'll quickly share it with you guys again, for those that don't know. But I think I shared this story in the Mastermind once before. It was basically a story of me and a girl that I went on a date with. I thought was super conservative, like this good little nice girl. She actually flaked on me the first time because she said she went on a date with a guy and she doesn't ever date two guys in the same time period. So like very conservative. So a few weeks later, we go on this date. I take her to dinner at a nice restaurant like I used to do, thinking that was the way you do things instead of pull straight to the house. And then essentially, it got to a point at the end of the night where she wanted to be pulled and I had no idea. And I basically wanted to end the date like I usually did and hopefully message her again and hopefully get a second date. And who knows, like a few days from now, maybe something would happen. And she pushed for it. She basically said, I don't want the date to end now. And I was like, yeah, no worries. So I walked her around fucking Darling Harbour and shit in the city. And it got to a point where she pretty much had to say, like, no, I want to come home with you. She actually pushed for it, which was probably the only way I was ever going to pull back then. And so we get, we ended up getting a hotel room. I was living with parents at the time. And this was my first real encounter with a girl that was submissive that actually expressed it towards me. So we were having sex and she asked me to spank her. And look, I had a girlfriend before that, right? And I was like, yes, like I'm great in bed. I know what she wants. And I spanked her. And she said, like, no, harder. Like, I want you to spank me, like, harder. So I did it harder. And then she kissed it harder again. I did it hard. And I got to a point where I was like, what the fuck is wrong with this girl? Like, I was like, I'm hurting her. And I kind of lost my heart on. I didn't feel. I felt like I was like literally beating this girl up. Like that's the good guy inside of me was like, what the fuck is going on here? So I almost like apologized. Like we started having sex, and I was wondering if she was okay. And she explained to me that she liked it, that she liked the dominance, that she liked the pain. And my first instinct was like, fucking God bless. I was like, what is wrong with this girl? I thought she had a traumatic childhood or some shit. And I just went into immediate nice guy and was trying to make sure she was okay and like trying to figure out what was wrong with her. And it was through this relationship. I mean, we kind of dated for a little bit, but I started to explore that side, that I started to realize that there were girls out there that I thought at the time, there's like girls out there that like this. I was like, what the fuck? And like, they don't have to be broken to like it. And so she actually helped me a lot with understanding that. And then I continued that journey on. And, you know, I've had a few mentors since then. And I've dated a lot of submissive girls since then. And we've explored that side of things. So I kind of did it the hard way and kind of figured it out for myself with the guidance of like Women Blindly. But I'm going to share basically everything I've learned with you guys over the last 10 years and try to condense it down into this talk. So I basically want to teach you guys the mindsets behind being dominant, because that's the foundation of everything. That's where it starts, right? You can practice the behaviors that I'm going to teach you guys. You can do the things in bed that I'm going to teach you guys. But if it comes to the wrong mindset, you're always going to feel like a fraud. You're always going to feel like you're faking it. You're never actually truly going to be dominant. It's just that you know how to fake a few things, and that's not really going to last, and it's not going to effectively create a dynamic in your life where you actually feel confident in yourself and feel more dominant as a man. So we're going to cover those three aspects. I've got some more. Daniel's it's past his bedtime. Are you going to answer the Q&A questions after? Should we put them in now? Yeah, dude, save them to the end, bro. Just because I'll probably answer a lot of them as we go through. And yeah, I'm going to leave a bunch of time at the end. So if you do want to stick around once I finish the talk, I'll sit here and answer questions. So yeah, probably save them to the end. Unless you have a funny comment, feel free to chuck it in there. All right. What was I saying? All right. So let's talk about what is dominance. So this is one of the questions that a lot of guys asked when I suggested this talk is, a lot of people said, what is the definition of dominance? What is it actually? And I think that is a great question because there are so many misconceptions around what it actually means to be alpha, what it actually means to be dominant. And funny enough, this is the reason that we actually chose Ultimate Man Project. We were coming up with ideas around the whole idea of alpha. And it's true, like there's that really negative connotation with alpha where people just think you're an arrogant, narcissistic asshole a lot of the time. And so we felt like Ultimate didn't really have that connotation with it. And so like little personal story there, that's why we went with it. But it is true. But there are different ideas around dominance, right? There are different definitions. So I wrote here personality versus role. Because there's the dominance that comes from BDSM, where you have a scene, right? You meet a girl and you say, okay, I want to have sex with you and we're both going to play roles. I'm going to be a dom, you're going to be a sub. And this is kind of the scene we play. And I've seen it in guys that go to these like sex parties, for example, that will play out a scene as a dominant. They will sit down, they'll talk to the girl, they'll come up with a plan, a contract, or what can we do, what won't we do, what will it look like. They'll have this dominant subsex, and then they'll leave that and they'll go back to being this very meek, very quiet, very shy guy. Not someone that a girl would find attractive. Now, sure, at these parties, these girls that are there, you know, if you're going to have dominant sex, they'll be down for it. But if this guy's at a club, right? If this guy's at a club, he's not going to attract women that way, right? So there's a very clear distinction between kind of what BDSM community might consider a dom and what we're probably going to most likely talk about in this talk around dominant behaviors and acting dominant in the bedroom, more as a personality trait and the behaviors to show. So basically all dominance is being at the top of the sexual hierarchy or dominance hierarchy, if you want to call it that, right? It's very synonymous with just being attractive. And, you know, many of the things that we talk about, which are attraction triggers, are just behaviors of dominance. And so essentially we're just going to nerd it up for like 2 minutes, and then we're going to actually get into like mindsets and behaviors and things like that. But I think it's important to talk about, because there's a lot of guys that get super butthurt and almost like to the level of like women hating that I see in the forums and shit like that talk about this dominance hierarchy and talk about hypergamy, right? And so I just want to quickly address this now so we can get this fucking out of the way and then move on to the actual practical things that we can learn from this. But essentially, yes, in humans, right, women typically pick sexual partners. Now, obviously with game, we try to reverse that. We try to flip that narrative, but there's a lot more thirsty guys out there, and that's the way our community is kind of set up. Now, this whole idea of hypergamy, right? Oh my God. I'm about to, Ramsey, sup, man. I'm about to go on a fucking trigger rant here. So many guys get upset and fearful and resentful at the idea that women would want to find another guy that is better than guy A and go with guy B. Like, so many guys are pissed off that women would upgrade or pick the best. Like, it is common fucking sense, no? Like, if there's two guys and one's better than the other, then yes, the girl's gonna pick that dude, right? I don't think we need to go into too much detail about this. I don't think we need to even fucking care about it. Now, that doesn't mean you need to be super worried and scared that as soon as a girl sees some dude, she's gonna run off with him. No, I mean, there's a lot of other things that come into play. But all you need to be concerned about is, hey, if I build my value as a man, which we're going to talk about, and if I display that value as a man, and a woman is attracted to me, and I'm able to keep her around by creating that emotional investment, if I'm able to keep her around by having still amazing sex, putting the time and effort in, and creating still a frame where the girl is chasing and still sees you as someone that may have other women that are interested in them, right? Because you can be the most dominant fucking alpha guy with really high value, but if you start getting super fucking needy, if you start suffocating the girl, if you show her that you have zero other options and she's the only thing that matters to you, your value plummets, right? It's almost like supply and demand, right? Like, if she has you around her little finger, you're done, right? So you don't need to worry about this idea of hypergamy. You don't need to worry that a girl's gonna like fuck off and cheat on you or some shit, right? It's literally have the value, express it, build attraction, and be non-needy, and you won't ever have a fucking problem. But that's another rant for another day. I just need to get that out of my system, so I appreciate that, guys. So anyone sitting there like that are those hypergamy trolls that act as if women are like a robot that just will like a magnet to some other dude and fuck you off. I mean, that's a problem. The fear is what creates the neediness. So anyway, back to dominance. Yeah, so Ramsey said we do the same, 100%. Like, we're going to go for the hotter goal, right? We're in wait at the finish line, and we go with the winner. All right, a couple of boys have joined, so sub, guys. Now, all right, so essentially dominance hierarchy is just guys at the top, right? Guys that are the leader of certain environments are going to be more attractive to women. And yeah, so let's keep it at that. I'm not going to rant on for too long. Now, the next question was, do all women want dominance? Like, why do we want to be more dominant guys, right? Is this just like some DTF girls that want to be like spanked? Is that who we're going for? Or is this most women? Is this the chick at the library that said she wants, she wants guys to really care about and respect her? Like, is this the same type of girl that like kind of wants her hair pulled and choked? Do all women want dominance? That's the question. And I kind of cheated with the answer here. Why can't I be a loser and still have hot women adore me? That's funny, Peter. All right. Yes. Now, I am guilty. I'm very, very, very guilty of trying to win women over by showing them just lots of respect. And by respect, it's kind of the opposite, right? You kind of show them a lot of shame. You're trying to treat them like they're little flowers that can't look after themselves. I mean, I came from there, right? But yes, women love dominance universally. Now, sure, there's like 1% maybe or less of girls out there that kind of want to tie you up and put a dildo in your butt. But most women love dominance. And there's a biological and environmental reason behind that, right? I keep clicking shit. I'm sorry, boys. Let me click out of that. So yeah, I mean, look, there's evidence behind that, right? Now, if we want to take a very simplistic biological reason behind this, then yes, they want a guy with good genes. They want a guy that can provide them safety and can help create an environment where they can raise their children, right? Going from the primitive brain. And so that's why they're going to like guys that are sort of leaders and higher in that dominance hierarchy and show those behaviors and traits. From an environmental point of view, from a personality point of view, again, it's pretty obvious, right? They've done studies on this and they've found that girls that are easily bored or seek adventure are more likely to be even more attracted to dominant guys. So if we're talking about archetypes, the girls that are super sub and the girls that really respond to dominance are those ones that are more adventure seeking and also with high anxiety. And they theorize that obviously if you have a high anxiety, you feel very unsure about the world, someone that can create that level of security and take those decisions out of your hands per se, they're going to be more attracted to. There was an interesting study on feminists, but I won't go into that. And words matter, right? Words matter. So if you go up to all your female friends or you do a survey, which they've done, and if you just say to a girl, do you like dominance? You'll get about 70% of people saying yes. The other 30% say no. And you might be like, Mark, you lied. It's 30% that want to peg you. But the real reason behind that is, again, words matter. It's what they think about when they hear dominance. A lot of girls hear dominance and they think what that means is a guy that like doesn't listen to her, that basically expects her to just like get in the kitchen and make a sandwich. Whereas if you take those same women and reframe the words and ask, do you like a guy that can lead, that knows what he's doing, that is like a leader, blah, 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 right? They're gonna say yes. If you ask a girl, are you attracted to a guy that's submissive, that's shy, that doesn't make decisions, 100% of women are gonna say no. So words matter. All girls love dominance. And next slide. Here we go. Feminist open loop. Yeah, I thought I'd throw in an open loop there. We'll talk about it in the mastermind, Peter. All right. So traits of a dominant dude. Now, as I said, that this whole idea of like brute force and strength is not really a thing. That roided guy at the gym, yes, it is a small part of dominance, but it's not everything. It's more a mix of the power and social influence as opposed to having like a lot of fucking muscle on you. And that's true, by the way, even for like chimps, monkeys, apes, right? It is the same in their hierarchy as well. The guys that are at the top are not always the strongest. It's usually the most socially aware and those that actually have the best relationships within that group. So it's not just a human thing, right? So I wrote here, confidence, assertiveness, leading, while also in a caring and socially aware way. So for those that are thinking, I want to be more dominant, it's just about fucking being an asshole. This is the evidence against it. All right, so let's get into mindsets. So that was like the theory behind it, right? Let's actually crack into the proper part of this, what are we going to call it, live stream, and talk about how do we start being more dominant in our lives and with women. So the first thing, as I mentioned, is about mindset. You need to understand that change is okay. Now, hopefully I'm kind of preaching to the converted here a little bit in the sense that all you guys are in game. So hopefully all of you are already at the point where you understand that it's going to feel a little bit weird at first. The same way you go out and start DHVing or opening, it kind of doesn't feel like you. It kind of feels weird. And you've gone against that advice of like, just be yourself, right? Hopefully that's where everyone's at. But it's going to apply the exact same way to being dominant, right? The whole point is that you're creating that new version of yourself, a better version of yourself. One that better understands women and one that better understands yourself and one where you're able to portray those behaviors. So it is going to feel a little bit unnatural. Now, the second part to this is you need to identify what limiting beliefs you have that might, come up when you want to show dominance. So if you want to go spank a girl or choke her, and you're thinking like, no, girls don't like this, or this is disrespectful, or this goes against what she wants, or anything I say in this talk that you might disagree with is probably going to be some form of a limiting belief, and it's something that you will need to address. I'd encourage you at the end to in the Q&A to share me your thoughts, right? Anything that you might disagree with or anything that pops up, because I know if I listened to any of this 5 years ago, I'd be like, that's not how you treat a woman, right? They don't like that. So you need to be able to address your limiting beliefs. It's really important. So one of those limiting beliefs we're going to address here is that she wants it, right? Now we've got the studies, we've got the surveys, but one of the things that's really important when you're learning to be more dominant, especially this was for myself, right, is taking that onus off me and just realize that, hey, if I'm not going to do it for myself, I'm going to do it for her. That she enjoys me spanking her. Sure, I felt super weird causing her pain to begin with, but it's not about me, right? It doesn't matter if I feel weird. It's doing something that she wants and that she's enjoying the pleasure of, right? So that kind of helped for me. I don't know if it's going to help for you guys, but one thing you really need to identify before you do any of this is just 100% understanding that she wants it, that this is something that women crave. The next thing is own it 100%. So feel free to take up that space in the world. Because being dominant, by the way, the behaviors I'm going to go through are not just with women, right? They're in your entire life with people you work with, family, friends, whoever it is. Feel free to take up that space in the world. Be entitled. And the second point I put here are people are a lot more resilient than you think. Because look, I have students, right? We had the campsite rule. It's like always leave a girl better than you found them. But some of the behaviors I'm about to teach you involve disagreeing with girls, telling them wrong, telling them to be quiet, ignoring them. All things that might trigger something in you that is like, no, I don't want to make anyone else feel negative. I don't want to put these negative emotions onto anyone else. I don't want to act like that. But you need to realize that women deserve a lot more respect than that, right? They're a lot more resilient and strong than you're giving them credit for. If you're ignoring a girl for a second, or if you're telling her, hey, shh, I'm talking, she's going to be okay, right? She's going to be okay. You might have a few misses. You might be uncalibrated. Something you do might piss someone off. Just say you're sorry, wish them a good night, and walk away. Right? It's fine. They're going to be okay. They're not going to need counseling for the next 4 weeks because you did that. They're probably going to enjoy the validation and walk off, right? So look, UMP, our goal is always leave a girl better than found them, right? Sometimes you're going to have some misses as you're learning this stuff. It's fine. But a part of that is not treating them like these little pathetic beings that can't handle themselves, or shaming them in the fact that they can't express this sexual desire to be submissive, right? So it's a huge important part. So people are more resilient than you think. Let me just catch up on these comments, y'all. Can you fake dominance with body language and tonality, but not mindset? Will girls catch up with that? Yeah, I mean, 100% you can. 100% you can fake it, but there's going to be parts of you that make it very difficult, right? Like, look, I've had students that can do that. They can fake it, and a lot of it is that you will have to fake it for a little bit. But the problem is, if that's all you do, then you get to a point where you think you're like an imposter. It's like that imposter syndrome, where you get to a point where you think like, this girl doesn't actually like me. She just likes someone pretending to be. And, we talk about identity a lot at UMP. And if you're not identifying with it, it's really hard to be congruent with it all the time. So what I actually encourage you to do is figure out that every little one of us has a piece of dominance inside of them, right? We have times where we can express that. And so instead of thinking that you're like faking it or just like using these tricks and behaviors or something like that, is realize that you have this little bit of dominance in you and you want to express that as much as you can. And you know these behaviors are congruent with expressing that as much as you can. So instead of identifying as this like little bitch that's trying to be dominant, right? Identify yourself as someone with dominance inside them and you're expressing it to its full potential. So that way you're not going to feel like you're tricking a girl. You're not going to feel like you're not enough. You're not going to feel like you had to fake it, right? It's in you the whole time. You're just now expressing it as much as you can. And you're going to use the behaviors that I go through in a second to help with that. Most of us are nerds. That's why we day game. Yeah, bro, I'm with you, man. Social sort of game is hard for analytical people because average people jokes. All right, cool. Practice. Tommy said, practice with a dog. All right. Let us know how that goes, bro. But no, I get what you're saying. It's actually true. I'm going to talk about that later when we talk about punish and reward. It's very similar to what you do with your dog. But it just sounded a bit odd. All right. So that's kind of just a brief mindset part. So as I said, identify within yourself. A lot of it is self-work. A lot of it is identifying what your limiting beliefs behind that are and then addressing those. So let me know if you have any of those towards the end. All right. So dominant behaviors. So let's start with what I always start with, which is psychological. Because we should always start with words first before we go physical. You want to be able to dominate her mind and get her into a submissive space with your words before anything else. The brain is literally the largest sexual organ in a girl, right? It's her biggest erogenous zone. It is so much easier to get a girl wet if you just give me 30 seconds to talk to her instead of 30 seconds to like rub her pussy, right? Like every single girl's the same when it comes to being turned on and being sexually excited. 1,000 times easier if you do it mentally. That's why all our sexual escalation techniques, they're not this like touch here, touch here, touch here, touch here, pull back. Most of them are going to be verbal because you can do it in front of her friends, you can do it in front of people, you can do it very early, and it's more effective. Now, I don't want to take away from physical. We're going to talk a lot about physical, but psychological is where you should start. So let's look at that. We'll talk about subcoms. Igor, best pickup content out there. All right, so subcommunication. This is going to sound basic to some people, but let's go in a little bit more detail as we go through. So eye contact, holding eye contact, posture. Get that man spread on, take up space, voice, project it a little bit lower if you can. Fashion, right? You want to come off as more dominant. You need to make sure you're not dressing like a little boy. Simple as that. Like we've had guys on boot camp, they were in their 30s and they were dressing like they were fucking kids, or they were dressing like they were dads but not the good daddies, you know what I mean? They were dressing like they fucking have 2 kids and were a tourist in the city. So keep in mind your fashion, like even when it comes to, you know, things like beards, right? Beards are going to come off as more dominant. You see Swift, right? I've seen so many girls go out to him just because of his beard, and they saw it as a very dominant trait. I wrote here short, sharp sentences. Now, one of the questions I got was, how do you keep the conversation interesting and exciting whilst being dominant? And this is a great point, right? A lot of guys think dominance and they think of James Bond and they go in set and they're like, hey, my name's Mark. What's your name? Okay. And the girl's like, right, this guy's a fucking robot and he's boring as fuck, right? Bye. So I'm a guy that loves to fucking talk in set. Way too much. And I consciously keep in mind that when it starts getting more sexual, when I start moving the set forward, I'm going to start being more short, more direct, and more concise in a lot of the things I say. So keep that in mind. Now, obviously, you know, don't take this overboard. You don't need to go in set and be a fucking robot and be like, I am dominant, right? But if you're the type of guy that is like playfully babbling on and being a clown and shit, keep it short and more concise. Especially talking to William, if you're watching this, one of our last students. All right. Disagreeable. There is nothing a girl finds more pathetic than when a guy comes up and just tries to friend zone agree with her on everything. He tries to win her over by being nice, right? And oh man, I used to do this, and it's so disgusting when you hear what women say about this. Like, you know, when I go to group sets in a club, like I'll go out and there'll be a group set of like school friends or work colleagues, or they're on like a tour or something. There's typically like the hot girl in that group, which you know, maybe I'm trying to talk to. And there's always a guy that is like desperately chasing her, that she's friend zoned. And she can't just tell him to fuck off, right? They're in a group and, you know, whatever. But she will say the most horrific things about this guy. It's honestly brutal, right? Like, I will ask, like, oh, so this guy, like, I'll amog a little bit, right? This guy's like, he looks a bit friend zoned, yeah? She's like, oh. She's like, it's pathetic. I don't know. He like buys me drinks when he just follows me around everywhere. It's so sad. Then he comes back and she's like, oh, hey, this is Peter. Oh my God, Peter's my best friend. He's so sweet. He's so nice. And then like, I'll take her home later. She's like, yeah, that Peter guy's such a bitch. Right? And I'm like, what? She'll just bag him out. Like, it's so pathetic. He's like, they are ruthless. They do not give a fuck. And so you do not want to fall into that frame. Right? She might be acting all nice. You might feel validated because she put her arm around you and said how lovely you are. But I guarantee she thinks you're a little bitch. Right? And look, I've been there for many years. I've been in almost a relationship like that. And looking back, it gives me like chills almost. But it's that reason that I will never put myself in that position again. Do not be the guy going up and try to weasel your way in by trying to be nice, saying, oh, I love that and you're amazing. And you need to be able to like express yourself, all parts of yourself. And a lot of that is being able to disagree with what she says, even if she's hot, right? You have to risk her not liking your opinion, which ironically, she's going to find dominant, she's going to find attractive, she's going to like. But it's hard at first, but you need to be willing to do that. So if she says, oh my God, I love this band, and you don't like that band, tell the band shit. Don't hold back from that. Don't be worried you're going to lose her because you disagreed, right? So be disagreeable. Let me read these comments, yo. Oh, fuck. What did I do on my phone? Whoops. I feel like I'm an old man trying to like work my phone. I'm like, oh, fuck. I can't see the old comments now. Yeah, I thought the same. Mark, I am offended by the name you chose to use in that example. Peters was one of my brother's names, so I think that's why it came to me. Jonathan, hot women are the queens of multi-layer communication. Oh, 100%. 100%. Subtle as same, yeah. I have a female dog, and she responds to me when I make it. Tommy, man, you make me laugh, bro. Tommy, I've been reading some of your comments in the main group, and you always give me a chuckle. I appreciate it. All right. If I chase her, she runs. If I ignore her, she chases me. Yeah. Tommy's been practicing game on his dog. It looks like it's probably good advice. Everyone get a dog and practice game. All right. Lead. It's self-explanatory, right? Every fucking video I'm sure you've heard in pickup has told you to lead. So whatever. Decisive. This is important. Fuck, I feel like this is almost a therapy session of me explaining what I used to be and what I am now. By the way, that's the chair squeaking and not me. So, decisive. If someone, try to avoid saying I don't know in set as much as fucking possible. And if you're gonna say in set I don't know, say it with fucking conviction. Right? Like, I had a Tinder girl, a date over the other night, and what was she telling me? Like, she worked in retail for some brand, and I had no idea what the brand was, right? But instead of saying like, "Oh yeah, I think I know that one," or something like, "Oh, yeah, what's that brand?" Oh, or like pretending it. All I said was like, "What the fuck is that?" Right? Conviction. Right? I put it back on her. Like, what fucking brand are you working for? Always avoid just sitting there being like, I don't know, right? I don't know. It's a very submissive, unattractive trait. I used to hate making decisions. I'd go on dates with girls and I'd be like, what do you want to do? Where do you want to go? They'd like pick and shit. Like, we'd get to dinner. Like, I couldn't even decide what to drink. Right? I'd just tell the girl like, oh, what do you want? I'll have the same and shit like that. Like, it was embarrassing. It really was. And I find myself sometimes still doing that, right? I'll be hanging out with Alex and Swift, and I'll still be like, so yeah, you guys pick and shit like that. Stop it, right? Create a habit of just deciding and going for it with conviction. Because listen, if it really doesn't matter, right? What you're ordering to drink doesn't matter. And so I don't like that effort of a decision. So I'll just tell the bartender, whatever you think, or I'll tell the girl, whatever you think. If it really doesn't matter, just pick something, right? Pick the vodka, pick the rum. It doesn't matter. Just say it and say it with conviction. Be more decisive. There's nothing more frustrating as a coach when you're pulling and seeing indecisiveness, because that is when it's really on show. When you're taking the girl home, that's when she's really critically thinking, is this what I want to be doing? And if you show indecisiveness then she's not going to picture this dominant, confident, leading guy having sex with her. She's picturing this meek, indecisive virgin that has no idea what he's doing. And I know I'm picking extremes here, but I'm doing it on purpose. You need to be able to show decisiveness. So when you're going home, fuck it, man. There's been times where I'm trying to work Google Maps. I have no idea where I'm going. Our house is down this way. And I learned that from Alex Lindbergh, right? There's nothing more annoying than trying to fucking follow that guy somewhere and he has no idea where he's going, but he says it with conviction. Hey, we're 2 minutes away. It's down here. It's down here. I'm like, you sure, bro? Like, I thought our house was down. No, this way. Of course, it's never fucking that way. But he sounds very decisive, very confident, very dominant. He sounds like a leader. So when you're pulling goals, none of this shit like, oh yeah, we can, yeah, I guess we can go here. Or like, yeah, if you guys want to. No, hey, our place is down here. Let's go. Come on, guys, 2 minutes. Let's go. Let's go. So always be decisive. All right, I'm getting lit with comments. We're talking about cats again. Can you tell more about fashion? Look, dude, we have by the way, I'm just gonna plug the mastermind this whole fucking talk, all right? So no, in the mastermind we have a couple of articles and stuff in there on fashion, and we got a couple of boys in there that work in fashion, and they're kind of like our fashion experts. I'm clearly not a fashion expert, but yeah, definitely hit those boys up. There's a lot of shit in the mastermind, and you can think about that a little. But typically, when it comes to fashion, think about what am I trying to portray, right? Who do I want to be? Now, it's not this little submissive boy, so don't dress like that. But it might be, look, we have some students that it's like, okay, listen, you're going to take the business CEO look. So we'll get them goes like a jacket, a nice jacket, nice shoes. We might have some other guys that are like, all right, listen, you need to be a little bit more like street R&B, like a bit fucking edgy, right? So we'll dress them up like that. So it's going to depend on like what your personality suits as a person, but just avoid dressing like you're a kid. You know what I mean? That's the important part. But as I said, I'm not the expert in that area. But guys like who we got in the group? Simon and Yafu, and there's a couple other boys really good with their fashion. Even Alex knows what he's talking about. But I usually get advice from them, so maybe don't ask me. All right, use stories. So again, I'm not going to go into great detail of this, but you can basically use a story to describe any situation where you've done these things. So whenever I'm talking and the girl's like, what did you get up to this weekend? Or how did you get into your job? Everything I'm going to say is going to try to hit these things, right? Like if I'm talking about last weekend where we had a house party, then I'm going to change it slightly to I'm the one that organized it, right? Even if it was Alex's idea, right? It's not a big difference. I'm just going to say, yeah, I organized this party, right? Blah, blah, blah. I'm always going to try and make me sound like the leader, like sound like the one in charge, the decisive one. So just keep that in mind when you're telling stories. Confidence. I feel like this is just be confident, guys. Talk over. That's how you do it. It's like great fuck. That's like some female pickup advice right there. It's like you ask a girl how to be better. She tells you to be confident. So the confidence really, let me explain what confidence is, because women have no fucking idea. Confidence is really just being comfortable and relaxed under tension. That's all confidence is. So if you go and open a girl and you look relaxed while you're doing it, that she knows there's meant to be tension there. You're hitting on a girl in a club. She knows there's meant to be tension. She sees you're relaxed. So she goes, okay, this guy's confident. But the more tension you have, the more confident you are. So if you open a group set and you seem relaxed, then you're even more confident. If you open the whole fucking club, hey guys, shut the fuck up. Hey, shh. I wanna talk to this girl, right? It's like, well, okay, this guy has balls, right? He does not give a fuck. So that's why building tension, especially sexual tension, is important if you can stay relaxed under it, because the girl is going to think you're very confident when it comes to sex. Because if you can hold that eye contact, if you can talk dirty to her a little bit, and you don't flinch for a fucking second, and you just seem chill, you're not like self-pacifying with your hands or fidgeting or looking away, you're just holding that tension. Then she thinks, okay, he's confident, he's sexually confident, he's dominant, right? So the question is, how do you get to that point? It's exposure. That's all it is. Just keep doing it, right? Like public speaking. I used to fucking shake and vomit, and even these live streams. When I started doing these live streams like 4 years ago, right? I'd be fucking nervous. I'm sure you maybe even pick up on camera, right? I probably look nervous. Now it's chill. Like I don't care. It's just like another thing. And so that equates to confidence. So it's tension and being relaxed under it. So keep exposing yourself to those things and practice, slowing your breathing. Essentially, okay, this is what I used to do, right? When it came to opening. Opening is a good example. I used to go up and take all the pressure off, tell myself it was just an exercise, get in front of the girl, have something prepared to say, and just slow everything down. So I wouldn't fidget my hands because I know that's a sign of nervousness. And when you do it, you actually feel more nervous. So I kept everything still. I slowed my breathing down. I held eye contact and I actually relaxed into it. And so that's just an example for opening, but you can do the same during sex, right? There's a lot of times when I started massaging girls, I'd take that moment just count my breaths in my head as I massaged her and just relax my whole body. So that's what confidence is. So expose yourself more, be comfortable under that tension. We've got some more cat talk. Yeah, whiskey straight, no ice. Exactly, Jonathan. When he's talking about ordering a drink, be direct. What do you want? Whiskey, no ice, right? That's perfect. I actually practice dominance to my dog. Yeah, this is going to turn into like a dog training talk. How much is the mastermind? Hey, Fintan, it's $69 a month. But if you wait to the end, I have a special deal for you. Whoa. No, really, I do though. What do you think of dressing like a null? Hey, Tommy, man, I don't know where you're from, bro, but I don't know who these like fucking Anul and Takashi is, man. Maybe that was a huge deal on my part, but I have no idea who the fuck they are. All right. Have you had short students have excellent results? Yeah, of course. I mean, dude, we're getting sidetracked a little bit maybe now, but yeah, 100%. I mean, we've had ugly students with great results. It matters, right? Height matters. If you're short, you're perceived as less dominant. It just, the fact of the matter is, right? Like that's how girls see it subconsciously. If you're short, you're less dominant. So I'm not saying it has no effect. I'm not this pickup coach being like, it doesn't matter for a second you're short. Yes, it matters. Of course it matters. The girl perceives you as like less dominant. So it matters. But is it a deal breaker? Is she not going to... No, of course not. Right? Like Indian GB is a good example. I have a friend, George, who I gamed with like before I was a coach. And he only went for girls that were taller than him. And I have like a compilation of Snapchat on my phone of him just making out with tall girls. And I mean like much taller than him. He's like this shorty. So yes, I mean it matters. But is it a deal breaker? No. Can you make up for it? Yes. 100%. Commands. So this sounds like a little bit of a weird one. But whenever I'm in set, I always try to give the girl a command. Now, something as simple as, hey, come stand here. Hey, shh. Hey, don't say that. I'm going to show you some infield of this in a sec. It's just like one interaction. But anytime you can kind of just command her to do something, it starts developing that frame. She subconsciously feels and falls into that submissive energy whenever you can say like, hey, don't do that. Right? Like, I even open like this sometimes. I just pretend I'm security, right? I frame myself as security. I walk up to a girl and I'm like, hey, you can't sit here. She's like, what? I'm like, you can't sit here, move. She's like, oh my, I'm sorry. And I'm like, and I'll be like, hey, where are you from? She's like, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, hey, nice to meet you. I'm Mark. And I just continue the conversation. And she forgets that I was like yelling at her a second ago. But you have that authority now. You have that dominance. Next point, which Tommy's gonna fucking love, is punishment and reward. This is dog training shit. But a part of that submissive energy, that role, is punishing and rewarding. So you'll see in set a lot, I'll say to a girl, good girl. I'll just slip it in there, right? Like, she might put her drink on a coaster. I'll be like, good girl. I'll just throw it in there. And it sounds weird to you the first time you start saying it. But girls never really respond negatively to it. And it starts creating that frame. And you can also punish as well. And I'm going to go through that right here. Physicality in the club. You can punish, and this is what I talk about, the hand slap. So something I do in set is if a girl does something that I don't like, and it doesn't have to be, massive, right? Just something playful. Like, she doesn't like the same band as me. She interrupted me. Whatever it is, right? I'll be like, oh, you're so naughty. I'm like, give me your hand. And she won't, right? I'll be like, here, give me your hand. I'll grab it. I don't know if you can see this. I'll grab it, and I'll just be like, naughty girl. Right? And it sounds like this thing is stupid and would never fucking work. And out of everything in game, this probably blows my mind the most out of all the shit I do. This kind of blows my mind the most because I can do this very early in set and it works so well. And I'm like slapping this girl. And before everyone goes out there and slaps girls' hands, gets arrested and shit, practice on your friend. It shouldn't hurt. The way I do it is it creates this loud noise and you have this sensational look of me like spanking, but it doesn't hurt at all. And it's crazy how the girl just switches in her mind to like, oh, this guy is dominant, right? Like, I can't believe you just did that. And it has enough plausible, like playful deniability behind it that you're not actually angry. You're not actually like, hey, fuck you or some shit, you're some crazy guy. But it's fun, right? And you have to don't be a clown, but it's like playful at the beginning because it's so early in the interaction. And I can follow this up with like, hey, listen, go to the naughty corner. Hold strong eye contact. You're pointing at her. Go sit down in the naughty corner. Sometimes I push her out of the set. I look at the friends. And now she has to chase to get back in. And I'm like, are you going to be a good girl? She's like, yes. And I'm like, okay, you can talk to us now. And it's literally like, you're treating it like a little kid, essentially, right? There's no more of an authority than treating it like a little kid. So you can put her into that playful, almost like role play to begin with, where subconsciously, again, she's going to fall into that submissive energy. She's going to see you as dominant. It's going to be more attractive. Now, as I said, be careful with this, right? You want to be calibrated. And I'd start practicing this on girls where you have a lot of value. They're really into you. And then practice and see what type of reaction you get. Do this to your friends first so you know how hard to actually hit. But if you get it right, God, it's a charm. Reverse choke. As I said, I'll show the infield of this, so I probably won't go into it too much detail. But the reverse choke is essentially, instead of choking a girl this way, you just put your hand at the back. I can't stretch my hand, but back of their head that way. So you're like holding them like this. And it has the same sensation without as much compliance needed. So it still kind of feels the same. You kind of got them by like this very sensitive part of their body. And you can even do it in front of their friends because it kind of just looks like you have your hand around them. So that's a reverse choke. I've done that on girls and I've pulled for that reason. Hair pull. Now, when you're pulling a girl's hair, for those that learned the type routine, this is a part of it. And those that don't have the type routine, it was in our value talk, I can give it to you at the end of this one, is that you don't actually pull their hair, right? Be very careful with this. Essentially, all you're doing is you're running your hand up the back of the neck here, and you're making a fist with your hand. So it's literally just this motion. You don't pull, right? Now, sure, if the girl's like super compliant, you got her in bed, you can pull, right? But the sensation you want is just squeezing the hand like this, and it just creates some tension, and it feels amazing to the girl. And don't wait and look for a reaction. Don't keep pulling till she does. Just do it and let go. And I know some of you might be thinking like, what the fuck? How do you just start pulling a girl's hair? This is through the type routine. It's the, hey, I can tell you're really submissive. I can tell you like a dominant guy. Do you like your hair being pulled? Here, I'll show you 1 second. I'm not going to go through it now because I went through it in the last talk. But if you haven't seen it, you can go have a look at it later. Booty spank. Sometimes I'll ask the girls like, do they have a nice booty? Do they work out? Blah, blah. And I'll end up spanking them. But again, I'm not going to go into detail right now. Grab hand by the wrist. So a lot of the time when you're walking a girl through the club, guys either hold their hand this way or interlock, or like hand around the waist, things like that. A very dominant way to do this, and I learned this off David Swift, because I never saw him hold hands with a girl walking through the club. He either does the like reverse choke, holds her by the neck and walks through, or he'll just grab her wrist. And again, you need compliance with this. This is like as you're pulling maybe. But again, it's such a sign of dominance. It's such a sign of control. It allows the girl to be able to let go a little bit. And you could even practice on fuck buddies, right? You could ask them what the difference in sensation and how they feel with these different things. Like you could hold a girl's hand like this and then just grab her by the wrist and see how she reacts, see how she feels. Huge sign of dominance in the club. Oh, George is here. My man, George is the shorty. We have a compilation of George making out with hotties. All right, here we go. This is not the compilation of George. Oh wait, I don't know if you guys can hear this. Let me put my ears in. There's going to be lag on this. Let me know if you don't hear this. If you do, just amazing. All right, so this is me in Bali. There's a girl here. I forget the actual context behind this, but she was asking about my job or some shit. Do you only teach males or some shit? Yeah, we teach males. And I think here she like rolled her eyes or made some comment. And I don't know, you can't hear it, but I just want to show you the technique. So here I basically smile. I tell her to shut the fuck up. And I grab her by the back of the neck. So that was just very almost subtle, right? It was just shut the fuck up. I grab her by the back of the neck, pull her in, and then push it back. And so it's just little displays like this, right? Now, again, that wasn't this big deal, right? Like if her friends are there, they're not really going to notice or say anything. She didn't even say anything about it. But the sensation and the feeling you get is very overwhelming. It's like, how many times has a girl been told to shut the fuck up? Like really. And this wasn't in like a mean or nasty way. Like this girl didn't go home and cry. But it was just shut the fuck up. Grab her by the back of the neck. Display dominance. All right. This is a Insta date in somewhere. South Africa. Close enough.
Yeah, but people do it everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. But you're a good girl, yeah? That's right. I forgot. Yeah. Just a sweet. So that was me saying you're a good girl, but not in the context I was talking about, right? I was hinting at here that she was a little bit maybe promiscuous or naughty, right? But I said it in a way like, you're a good girl, right? It's a little bit flirty, and you can see she's like smirking, and she has this like court innocence about her, right? It's like, yeah, I know exactly what you mean right now.
Yeah, I don't mind if...
We'll catch up soon.
Yeah,
so this is the end of the date.
What's your name, man? Mark?
Fuck you.
No.
Didn't even fucking remember my name.
Yeah, but it's like, you said it once, and then I feel like, do you remember my name?
You just looked at it.
Yeah, but...
Frida?
Looked your...
Didn't mean to leave a name in there. Fucking asshole. Sorry, she's an asshole. I'm just... No, yeah, sorry, we're just having an argument.
Yeah.
It's fine, I'll pay, yeah? No,
like
it's alright.
It's kind of early to have an argument
I know.
already.
I just want to choke her a little bit, you know? Sorry about that. So, there, let me just jump out of this. So there you can see, it's, that was in the more low compliance, playful area of me showing my dominance. I commented like, I just want to choke her, you know? I said it with a smile. But sometimes you can take this a little bit further. Instead, a lot of times I'll just say like, hey, don't make me choke you. Seriously, you make me want to choke you so bad right now. Especially when she's like giving you shit, right? I say that a lot. And you get two responses, right? One response is the girls will egg you on. They'll keep doing that. And I'm like, listen, I will choke you right now. She's like, I dare you. And I will choke her in the club. Again, I don't encourage this unless you know how to choke a girl without hurting her. And you can be calibrated. But that's something I often do, right? I initiate that little bit of back and forth, essentially. Like, I allow her to be a little bit of a brat. I allow her to encourage my dominance. Let me just see what these comments. Hey Marcus, just get in. Can't stay right now. I have a question. How do you show dominance other than sexually? Work, friends, social interactions. How do you calibrate it if you're too dominant and she calls you out? All right, Dylan, I'll answer that at the end if I remember, bro. All right, I'm going to wave at all these motherfuckers. There we go. All right. Don't make me choke you, I said, Tommy. Don't make me jerk you. Bro, Tommy, you make me laugh, bro. You're like one of my favorite guys in chat right now. Yeah, I heard about the booty massage routine. Guess what? We're going through the booty massage routine soon. We'll get to that. How to dominate her in the bedroom. Do you have any quick questions about in the club? So I know I covered a lot there, but essentially what I want you to start doing is, one, from a mindset point of view, identify that women like dominance, identify that you have it within you, and start fucking showing it, right? So some couple of ways you can do that. Hold eye contact, take up space, don't dress like a little boy, short up sentences, disagree with shit she says, lead the interaction, be decisive, use stories, learn to be comfortable under tension, start using command, good girl, bad girl, punish her for behaviors. And then you can start with some physical escalation as well. So reverse choke, hair pull, hand slap, booty spank, grab her by the wrist. These are all ways to start showing dominance in the club, combined with, of course, the type routine, right? The type routine is literally about talking to her about being submissive, about you being dominant, and you can start escalating that to what I call the sexual fantasy routine, which we're going to talk about in 1 second, which is about learning about literally verbalizing her submissiveness and what she wants. All right, cool. Let's go. So you get her through your front door. So let's imagine you've been out, whether this is a Tinder date, Insta date, day game, night game during COVID, you just caught COVID, you're taking her home. You walk her through the door. You've displayed dominance throughout. You've done type routine. You've talked about her being a sub. You've done all this shit, right? You're like, fucking killing it, bruh. You're killing it. You haven't done an RSD pull, right? You didn't say, after party, drinks, we just met, you can friend zone me later, but I'll tell all my friends I pulled. You've done a proper pull, right? You've got her into the house. You've walked through the door. What do you do next? Right? You want to continue this dominant energy. You want to continue this dominant role you're on, man. So what I usually do is, let's keep it nice and simple. We're going to grab wine, right? We're going to get wine. So I grab wine and I say, follow me, right? Come with me. And I lead her to the bedroom. Don't sit down in your fucking living room and then put on a movie for 4 hours, or fucking chuck an Ibu and order pizza and watch fucking football with the girl until she gets bored and leaves, and then listen to me yell at him for 4 hours in the mastermind. But you take her and say, follow me. Go to the bedroom, right? Straight to the bedroom. Now, this is a great just shortcut I learned, right? I used to sit there, like, I watched so many movies when I was learning game. You pull girls, I just watch movies. It was, I mean, movies are more fun than sex, right? So if you want to watch the movies like I used to, that's fine, right? You can watch the movies. But if you want to close, straight to the room. Now, she might say something like, oh, what? And I'm like, hey, I just put your stuff down here. I just need to put my stuff down. Put your stuff down, take my shoes off, pour her a glass of wine, give her a glass of wine. She will always not sit on your bed, right? You sit on your bed, she's probably not going to do it. She's probably going to stand up and hold a drink. We're like, hey, sit down. Right? She's like, hey, don't be weird. Don't be weird. Just sit down. Sits on the bed. Again, dominant, commanding. Sit down. Have the glass of wine. Talk to her about whatever you want to talk about. But I take it now to a point. Oh yeah, sorry. I'm going past my slides, guys. Tell her what to do. So pass me that. Sit down. Be good. Blah blah. You want to continue that up. But then as you sit on the bed, I want to start moving this conversation towards sexual and towards this idea of like what sex is going to look like with this girl. Now, I've experimented with this a lot. And look, if you're in the BDSM community, like if you type into Google or some shit, or you're on a BDSM course, or you take some other sex coach thing, right? They don't have the foundation of game. They have the foundation of, I go to a lot of sex parties, we pay for it. You get a subset of girls that are openly into this and come to the parties. And it's completely different to a girl you're pulling from Tinder or some shit, right? Like, you can't sit down with a girl from Tinder and be like, okay, so how do you want this scene to look? She's gonna be like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, you pull out like a list of things you guys want to do. You're like, all right, let's go now. This is our safety word. Like, that shit doesn't work with a girl you just pulled. So I have a routine for it. And basically, you sit there and you continue on your conversation thread from your submissive chat you had before through the type routine. Now, if you're not at this point and you're not pulling that often, blah blah, it's fine. You don't have to listen to this section. You can ignore me for 5 minutes and then I'll get to the massage. But if you're pulling girls like fairly regularly, you're talking about submissiveness, you're being more dominant in the club, then I want you to start doing this. Right? It's more for the advanced guys. As you're sitting there, I want you to say like, so I'm curious, like, and you can do this in the club, but I've been doing this a lot for my straight to the house Tinder pulls. You can sit there and say, so yeah, I was really curious about like that submissive side or that submissive energy or your submissiveness. And girl's going to be like, oh yeah. And you're like, yeah, I mean, it's great. Have you had a chance to explore much of it? Like, I'm curious. And you're taking the authority here, right? She's going to give you some bullshit like, oh, I don't know, I'm not sure. Some girls are going to say, yeah, like this. I had a sir and a dom once and whatever. But most girls are going to give you like, I don't know. And then you can say like, I'm curious, like, I mean, do you like being spanked, for example? And she'll be like, yeah. And you're like, do you like it hard? Like, do you like the pain? I mean, some girls really like the pain, some don't. Right? She's going to say yes or no or whatever. You move it forward. You're like, what about choking? Do you like choking? She's like, oh, if it's light. You're like, okay. Do you like being tied up? Like, what do you think of that? She'll be like, no, I've never tried it, but I think I'd like it, right? Oh, you get a variant at advances, right? But most girls you're going to pull have probably not tried it before. And, if this is where you get to and you get girls that are like, not really, I've never done it before, but I'm interested, I'm not going to keep going. I'm not going to be like, yo, what do you think about me spitting in your mouth and degrading you and blah, 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 and keep going with this because it's going to become too overwhelming for her. She's going to get nervous and she's not going to want to have sex. But if she's like, yeah, I love that. Oh my God, yeah, you can hit me as hard as you want. That's the best, blah, blah. Then I'm going to continue going with asking her these questions. And it's called the fantasy search routine because it starts with you asking, like, I'm curious, like, what are your fantasies? And it actually, there's a transition to it. I'll send it to you guys. I'm not going to go through it now. It's going to waste time. But the point is you basically just ask her out of curiosity and talking about this in conversation, what she likes and doesn't like, right? You don't need to go overboard, but it now gives you some permission and an idea of what she's going to like in bed and what she's curious about, what she hasn't tried. And so now you're going to know. You're not going to go in blind thinking, oh, should I get out the cuffs? Should I get the vibrator? Like, what's she going to think? It's like, you literally just spoke about it. You literally just had a conversation about it. And not only that, but you had a conversation where you were the experienced one. Like, you can act like you know all this shit, right? Yeah, have you ever done this? Like, you may have never tied a girl up before, but just ask her, have you ever been tied? Simple. And now she's going to see you as more experienced, see you as more dominant. And so that's her frame. So even if you don't perform that well in bed, she's going to see it through a better frame. And so everything's just going to be picked up a little bit. So it's super important before. It's going to give you the confidence, right? If a girl says, yes, I would love to be tied up. Like, that's one of my fantasies. I would love to do it. You're now not going to be nervous getting out your cuffs, right? So, which we're going to talk about in a sec, but this is the first part, right? Understanding exactly what she wants. Let me see if we get any questions from that. Cute laugh. Oh, Lucas, you're so sweet. Tommy, can we pull her with, hey, let's go watch movies? Tommy, you can, but I'd be disappointed. Look, you can do it if the frame is right. If you're talking about all this, Tommy, if you've been dominant the whole time and you've been talking about like sex and submissiveness, and then you said, hey, let's go watch a Disney movie back in mine, and the girl says yes, that's fine. Because the girl isn't thinking Disney movie. She's thinking, okay, he wants to pull me back for sex. So it really matters what her perception is, not really what you say. I mean, I've pulled girls before saying, come smoke weed with my grandma, right? Like, it really doesn't matter the words, it matters her perception. But if you're saying, come back for an after party, and you haven't shown value, you haven't sexualized, you haven't shown any dominance, and she thinks she's coming back for an after party, it's a really bad frame, right? If you say, hey, come back and watch a movie, but you have all those things there, you've been choking her and shit in the club, then you can say whatever you want. So it just matters her perception, not the words themselves. But yes, her perception should be that sex is on the cards, or at least a possibility, when she's coming home with you. That's what you should be looking for. All right. All right, cool. So we've got her into the house, taken her straight to the bedroom, had a glass of wine, talked about her fantasies and about any submissive stuff that she might like. Then you simply just say, hey, turn over, I'll give you a massage. Simple. She'll be like, oh, what? I'm like, yeah, turn over, I'm just going to give you a quick massage. Listen, lay down. Simple as that. Simple as that. Now, if you get any more, I hate the word resistance, but if you're in a situation where the girl's just really like, no, then what I'll do is I'll be like, all right, well, give me your hand. She gives me a hand and I'll just start massaging her hand. And I'll say like, do you not like massages or something? She's like, oh, well, no, well, not really. And I just continue on her hand, her shoulders. I'm like, okay, just lay down. And I've really never had a girl that is like refused it at this point. If she does, it's likely because you just don't have the value. It's probably you did an after party pull, and now she's wondering why she's in your bedroom and you're trying to massage her, right? But if you've done everything else relatively right, most girls, if they're into you, they see you as a dominant guy and you're attractive. Like attractive, not in the physical sense, but in the she's into you sense. She's gonna want a massage, right? Like I feel like so many guys at this point try to make out with her. They try to do all this shit. Just massage her, right? It's that simple. Now, I know this is a dominance talk, and a lot of guys are going to be like, how the fuck is a massage dominant, right? Sounds like a little pussy move. I get what you're saying. But there are going to be some girls that you get through the door and they just want you to throw them against the bed and rip their clothes off. If that's the way the interaction has been run, and that's what she said she liked, and you have the compliance to do that, what I mean by compliance is if she's like that turned on, then do it. But most of the time, that's not going to be the case, right? So you want to show those little bits of dominance. Lead her to the bedroom maybe by holding it by the back and neck, things like that. Have dominance by telling her to roll over. But the massage, really what it does is it's going to allow you to escalate, to get her horny, to get her relaxed without any of these needy maneuvers like trying to make out with her. Because making out with her is actually huge compliance, right? In a massage, you can be like rubbing her booty, like rubbing right next to a pussy, making her wet. And it's a lot easier for her to just lay there and enjoy it. Then if you were to try and make out with her and now she's got to make this decision of like, no, whatever it is, it's just easier, just massage her, right? So I'm not going to go through the full massage routine because that will probably take me half an hour to an hour in itself. And I think even though I think the massage thing is probably what helps most of our students be able to close once they get girls home, I'm going to go through the dominant aspect in it now. So as you massage her shoulders, you can pull her hair. Simple. You're massaging her shoulders, you run your hand up, and you pull a little bit, keep massaging. As you, again, massage her shoulders, you can just squeeze here. Do the reverse choke. You can run your hands along her neck and just push against her carotid arteries just a little bit so she gets the same sensation as choking. You can pull at her hips. Now, this is going to be hard to show on a live stream, but I'm going to give it a go. So that feeling when you're having sex with a girl from behind and you grab her by the hips and you squeeze and you pull her back, girls know that feeling, right? If a girl has ever been in doggy position and she feels that rough sex and that dominance, one thing she'll remember is those hips getting pulled and squeezed. So if you have oil, when you're rubbing down her body, something I do is, this is really weird. This section here is as I come past, I pull, grab, and squeeze. And girls describe it as a really sensual experience. They describe, like, the way girls describe it to me is it feels like they're getting fucked, right? That's how they describe it. And you're doing it in a massage. And so girls can't be like, hey, that's too much, or this is like, I don't want to make out with you right now. It's just a massage, right? She can't, like, it's a feeling she has inside. It doesn't feel like you're trying to give that to her, if that makes any sense, right? So super low compliance, super easy to do. It's going to make a girl feel very horny in that moment. And then, of course, as you're massaging, you can like start spanking, right? You can like spank a booty as you're massaging. So these are some kind of ways when you're in the bedroom to just start off building up that dominance. I lost my virginity because of the massage. Yeah, Prabir is one of our 5 guys in the mastermind that lost their virginity within like a couple of months of joining. Tommy's trying to get me to do the massage guide. Hey, Tommy, you're gonna have to fucking beg for it if you want me to do the massage right now. Dirty little whore. All right. So we're not gonna go. I mean, the massage thing is gonna take ages. There's a lot to it. Dirty talk. I love fucking dirty talk. If you could be in the bedroom and just sit there and ask a girl, hey, am I doing this right? Hey, do you want to move? Do you want to change positions? Hey, what would you like right now? Hey, am I going too fast? I mean, wouldn't that be amazing if we could just like ask a girl as we're like having sex if she's liking it and how to change it and how to do it better? Like, wouldn't that be great? I mean, that's what dirty talk lets you do, right? So it allows you to communicate during sex while showing dominance. So I usually start off by saying to a girl like, something like, hey, you fucking love that, don't you? Now, she's going to say, for the most part, yes, right? She says, no, it's great. Like, yeah, you can change whatever the fuck you're doing. But I'll be like, you fucking love that, don't you? She'll say, yes. Then you just say, yes, who? Right? And then you can have her call you sir, master, daddy, whatever it is. She's like, what? I'm like, yes, sir. She's like, yes, sir, right? And then you can spank her. And that's basically what I do. Every time I ask her a question, if it doesn't say sir, I spank her. You can say things like, I want you to beg for it. One thing that I do is always tell girls they're not allowed to come until I say. And we're going to go off in a bit of a tangent here. Sorry about that, guys. But this is great at helping girls to orgasm because it takes the pressure off orgasming. If you're going down on her, I always say, listen, you're not allowed to come until I tell you. You're not allowed to come until you beg for it. You understand me? She's like, yes. Yes, what? Yes, sir. Good girl. And then I'll be eating her out and all that pressure's taken off. She doesn't feel like she has to fake it. She doesn't have to worry. She can sit there and just enjoy it without thinking about coming. And of course, like, that's not my intention. I want her to come, right? But this also lets you know when you get close. A lot of guys message me and be like, I don't know if I'm doing it right. I don't know if she came. I don't know if it was sore. Now you're going to know, right? Because she's going to ask. She's going to be like, can I come now? And you can have a lot of fun with this. You can show a lot of dominance. Not yet. Wait, right? Giving you commands, punish, reward. It's all encapsulated within the dirty talk. Tommy, okay, please. Funny guy. Now, moving her around is a really easy dominant behavior to do in the bedroom. So when you flip her over and massage her, you can flip her over. You can push her against the wall. You can rip her clothes off. But the one thing, the one technique, I'm fucking giving everything away, motherfuckers. The one thing that I find in the whole idea of moving her around that girls enjoy the most is when they're laying on their back and I don't know how to describe this. They're laying on their back, they got their like knees up. And so essentially, let me restart that. You're sitting on the bed on your knees up like this. Like maybe you've just been eating her out, whatever it is. And she's laying down and her knees are up like this. You put your hands under their knees and around and grab their thighs and just pull them close. And that probably sounds, again, like, Mark, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, all these techniques seem very superficial or not very effective on the surface. But that in itself, I've had so much good feedback from. Like, every girl asked for feedback. And so many of those women have said, like, yeah, when you did that, I just knew it was going to be amazing. Like, it's usually after I finish eating them out, I grab them and just pull forward. And they get this sensation of just getting yanked forward and they're like, oh, they all, like, a moan escapes their lips as it happens. And it's that moment that a lot of girls call back to when they just said, like, yeah, I just felt like, oh, like I just lost it in that moment. So you can try that one out. I got here sensory, so you can blindfold girls, use eyes, tickling. So this is my bedroom. So bondage. So when it comes to, like, bondage and restraining her, it's best to start off, especially if you guys have never done this before, or girls on the first night, just start off with some cuffs that are like cotton or fluffy and Velcro. Right now, we can talk about rope and shibari and stuff at another stage. We can talk. This belt turns into cuffs. In the mastermind, I actually did a live stream, or like a webinar, whatever you guys want to call it. I actually had a girl come along, and we went through and basically talked about every single sex toy I had, how to use it, how to deal with sex toy ejections, how to tie girls off, stuff like that. So, as I said, those that aren't in the mastermind, I've got a little deal for you at the end for it. But essentially, if you don't know what you're doing, you can just buy off fucking Amazon, doesn't matter. Just some cotton cuffs that go under your bed. Maybe I'll put a link in later. They just go under your bed. And so you can tie a girl up with those. The great thing is they're really nice on the skin. It doesn't stick. It doesn't cut into their skin at all. It's nice and soft. The Velcro is very easy to undo, right? And the girls just feel... They have this sensation of restriction. They have this sensation of being in your control. But they also don't have any pain. They kind of feel it safe in a way that if they really wanted to, like, get out of these things, they could. And it's just nice, right? So if you're going to be using bondage, it's a nice place to start, is something like that. As I said, in the bedroom, spank, pull hair, bite, choke. But it's important to realize pain or no pain, right? It's a great question I ask girls, is if they like pain. Because you always want to start off slow. You always want to start off light and see how the girl responds. Delayed gratification. So that's the whole idea of, like, not letting him come. So, we don't have all the time in the world, but that's a lot of the dominance behaviors you can do in the bedroom. I chose most of the ones for foreplay and before penetration because I think that's what matters. I think if you can get it to the point where you have this foreplay, where it feels amazing, where she's in this space, where she's submissive, where you're able to show your dominance, you can use dirty talk, you can have her restrained a little bit. Even if you penetrate her for like 30 seconds, you come early, she's still going to enjoy that experience. She's still going to feel dominated. It's still that emotional journey. Now, of course, when it comes to sex itself, there's certain positions that are going to be more dominant and things like that. But I'm not going to get into that today. There's, as I said, there's a lot of that in the mastermind. So let's talk about aftercare. So, oh wait, I got some questions. Yeah, better restraints, lovehoney.com.au. Got good ones. That's from Max Ray. Thanks, Max, for sharing that. So aftercare. Now, this is incredibly important. And look, everyone that's listening, I really want you to pay attention to this. You need to bring her back because this is a very emotionally, sensory intense journey you've just taken her on. And her, what do you want to call it? Like, her comfort zone, right, is like an elastic band. And same way with us, right? When we first start our night, our comfort zone might be here, right? It's really hard to open. We open a set, it goes really well, and our comfort zone expands. We could fucking open anyone in that club. And then we leave set, it goes down a little bit, do some more opening, it expands, it goes back. Our comfort zone's elastic. And so when a girl's super horny, she likes you, she's in bed with you, you're calling her a dirty little whore, you're, coming on her face, you're slapping her in the face, or even if you're just simply tying her up or putting a cuff on her or you spanked her, that comfort zone is expanded in that moment, right? She feels okay with all of that. But immediately when you finish, it's going to snap back. And if you're that guy that is trying to get rid of it now because you've had sex and you're like, oh, I got to get up in the morning, but no, right? If you don't have time to spend at least half an hour with her afterwards, or ideally more, then don't have sex with her, right? It's that simple. you need that time to be able to give her that aftercare. Because what happens is it snaps back, you kick her out, or you have like these guys that do like 3 dates in the one night, which is stupid. Is that now she goes home, that band comes back, and she sees all these behaviors that were outside her comfort zone. And she sees all these behaviors where she thought, I didn't want to do that, right? I didn't want to be called a whore. Like, why would I ever want that? And now what happens is she thinks, okay, this guy made me do it. This guy made me do something I wasn't comfortable with. And it's after the fact. And it's not that she's lying. It's not that she's making it up, or that she, any bullshit like that, right? It's just that she looks back and thinks that's something I never would have wanted. So you need to, when that elastic band comes down, you need to bring it back, right? You need to validate her actions. Some girls I've had that have just been like, whoa, that was amazing. Thank you so much. Yeah, we'll do this again. Anyway, we'll grab my Uber. See ya. Right? Like, especially in Vegas, right? The girls were there in their social circles, like a girls' weekend. She's come, had sex, and then she's like, I need to get back to my friends before they fucking kill me, right? That's fine, right? If the girls are chill and don't give a fuck, it's fine. But oftentimes I've had girls cry, right? You might have girls that ask questions. They might say something like, maybe this is their first experience. They might say something like, do you really think I'm a slut? Right? They might ask questions like that. They might say like, did you like enjoy that? Like, did you like that I did that? So they want validation. They don't want to feel shamed, right? So every girl is different, but just give them the space and the time, right? You don't need to get overly needy, like, you okay, and all this shit, but like, just lay there. Just lay there. And if she wants to cuddle up with you, cuddle her. If she wants to ask you questions, answer them. And I mean, often this is where I do like the feedback routine, and I get her feedback and I learn from everything and blah, blah, blah. And that usually involves me asking her questions that allows her to answer them. But it's very important that you don't just kick this girl out. Even if you plan on even seeing her again, right? But yeah, never be that guy that just kicks her out, because you don't want the ramifications of her thinking that she didn't want that. Not only because it's a horrible feeling for her, but the ramifications for you as well. So always keep that in mind. Aftercare, bring it back. Everyone has different needs. Cuddle, and keep in mind that her comfort zone is elastic. So that's really important. Keep that in mind with any of this stuff that you're doing. All right, cool. I was going to talk about white knights, but that's going to trigger me and I'll talk for too long. All right, so that's basically the main stuff I wanted to talk about in this talk. So have the mindset, dominant behaviors, and then also the dominant behaviors in the bedroom. As I said, if you want to know more, I can do another talk on something more specific, right? If you want to know more specifically, maybe how to set up a dom sub type of dynamic in sort of a longer term fuck buddy relationship, things like that, we can go into that. If you want to learn more about tying girls up specifically, especially those that want to use rope or tape and things, we can go through that. But this is like the general outline of hopefully what you need to just kind of start your own journey and continue your journey in dominance.